welcome to the stage, he's already on the stage, President and CEO of Imaginea, Nav Dhunay.
First, I'd like to start by thanking ATV for inviting me to be on the panel. I did think I was on the main stage, though. But it looks like we've got a fantastic turnout. I'm actually surprised. There's only like 1 or 2 empty seats left, so this must be a very hot topic. Obviously, people have bought Bitcoin are wondering what it's going to do. So let me give you some investment advice. Don't listen to me. So that's the first advice. Anyone who buys Bitcoin and now tells you that they're an investor, it's not. It's like a lottery winner all of a sudden giving you financial advice. Just don't listen to them. Anyway, so let me take you back slightly, tell you a bit about myself and set the stage for what I'm going to talk about. 5 years ago, I stumbled across a company that I thought was very interesting, oil and gas industry, and I got involved and very quickly pivoted to create Ambient. Now, the premise behind Ambient was I believed that through artificial intelligence and leading-edge technology, we could create a technology that would allow us to develop self-driving oil wells. Well, why would we want to create self-driving oil wells? No different than why we want to create self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles, autonomous oil wells. They're much better at what we do. They're much better at driving, even the well itself. So we went down this bold path of creating self-driving autonomous vehicles. Along the way, we had to create some fantastic hardware that would allow us to get the type of data we needed. SCADA data is terrible, and I'm sorry for the SCADA folks around here, but it isn't very good, especially for AI. And by the way, I have a solution for that, so come see me after this. But we created our own technology that would allow us to get the right type of data. We weren't out to create a disruptive product, but we did. Our product, which is shown there on the slide, and I'm sorry around here this way, it looks like it's on your guys' right side, is our product. And it's the size of just slightly bigger than a hockey puck. And it does everything and more than what's in that big white box. So we disrupted the pump-off controller significantly. And that was not what we set out to do. What we set out to do was make an impact in this economy. This was 5 years ago, artificial intelligence, IoT, in the oil and gas industry. We went commercial 2 years after that, started seeing some great traction, and now this thing is down in the States and doing exceptionally well. Sorry, we missed wireless here. My apologies, technical difficulties. There we go. There's a guy installing it. It's a very simple device. We leveraged the same types of techniques and technologies you might find in the consumer tech industry. We use the same sensors that we find in your smartphone. We harden them for the oil and gas industry, but we leveraged what was already there. So our intent wasn't to build everything new, we just used what was out there. But we were much further ahead of our time. And again, the real goal was to create safety around operating oil wells. We believe that a computer or a technology or a robot monitoring in oil wells 24/7 could do a far better job of optimizing it. And we were right. What we saw when we deployed the technology was an uptick in oil of 20%. We saw a reduction in driving to the wells by 60%. And electrical consumption dropped by around 30%. That's significant. So we talk about being a low-cost producer and having a company where you can compete on the global market. This is the kind of stuff that we can do here in Calgary, Alberta. So last year I had the opportunity to step away. Actually, before I dive into it, let me talk quickly about AI. I know this discussion isn't about AI, but AI is my jam. I think AI is really the most profound technology of our time. And if you're not embracing it, you should embrace it. You should embrace it with blockchain. But AI, what it's going to allow us to do is scale as a species. Okay? And that's very, very important for us to be understanding what that means to us. When we first came on this planet, we ate food, we derived energy from that food, and we could move things based on the energy that we had derived in our muscle power. And at some point we invented steam engines and electricity, and we were now able to move more and move further away. So we invented railroads and we were able to get further away from where we were. And of course, do a lot more work. And then computers came along, and that allowed us to do more work. And so what we found is that back then, what we were doing in an hour, we now do in 5 minutes. And so we've compressed time significantly. It's allowed our species to scale and reach further heights, reach the moon and so forth. Right? So as we look at how do we scale now as a species to the next level, it's cognification. And that is making objects smarter. It's putting sensors on objects. It's tying them together with artificial intelligence and blockchain so we can do something with that information or have the machine do it itself. Big difference between robotics and artificial intelligence. Keep that in mind. Robotics are just a shell of a machine. AI is what does all of the work. So we're really talking here more about cognification. So last year I had an opportunity to step back and step away from ambient. I took that opportunity, and what do you do when you build the most advanced artificial intelligence platform in the oil and gas industry? You go to Disneyland. Well, I didn't really go to Disneyland, but what you do is you do it again. Much bigger and bolder, and that's what Imaginea is. It's an artificial intelligence ecosystem designed to democratize AI. What do I mean by democratize AI? It's bringing AI to the masses. The little coffee shop down the street can benefit from AI. But today they can't get involved in AI, because right now AI is for the elitist. You've got to have upwards of $1 million to get involved in AI. Well, a coffee shop certainly can't do that, and that's a problem. You've got energy companies trying to get into artificial intelligence. They know there's benefits there, and they can't do it. They're like, well, where do I find data scientists? How do I train them? How do I get my production engineers to a point where they can do some of the data science for me? And that's a challenge. So if we want to accelerate artificial intelligence, particularly within Calgary and Alberta, we need a platform that allows us to share, collaborate, and democratize AI. And that's what we're on a bold journey to do. So it's focused around the sharing economy. Many folks are familiar with that. In fact, I would say that everybody in this room is very familiar with the sharing economy because you give away freely your data for access to applications and systems. Facebook has everything they need to know about you. So does Instagram, Snapchat. So you're giving away your data all the time. So you're very familiar with the sharing economy. And Web 3.0 is a new thing that you may not be familiar with, but it's basically decentralizing the data stores. What's happened is when we started with Web 1.0, which was really static information on the internet, that was you were consuming it, you're looking things up, and you were consuming that information, didn't do much, wasn't really exciting. Web 2.0, we had services introduced, and that was the ability to exchange stuff, and that's where Facebook and Uber and Airbnb and Snapchat and all so forth came about. And in exchange for your data, they would give you access to the application of what's a model that's known as freemium models. And what we went away from was the centralized servers that we had that had web pages into now centralized organizations that own your data and control your data. So Facebook has more of your data than you probably do yourself. And so does Google, and so do all these other entities. And so Web 3.0 is about decentralizing that and putting control of data back in the hands of the folks that have the data. So what's critical to Web 3.0 is blockchain. And we're going to talk a bit more about that shortly here. Sorry, it must be my thumb. It's a big thumb. There are 4 ingredients that are required for artificial intelligence to really take hold versus intelligence, and those are algorithms. Simple things to write, not so simple actually. But algorithms are the first thing that we need as part of the ingredients for building artificial intelligence. We need training. So how do you train artificial intelligence? That's a big problem, especially when you don't have good quality data like we do in our industry here. So our platform allows data scientists to be able to train their data. We provide tools, and we actually have created this concept of synthetic data where we can generate data to allow you to train. I remember working on a product called cognitive card recognition. If you're familiar with dino cards, imagine building some AI that can diagnose a dino card. As part of that, we had 33 million dino cards in our data lake. And one of my data scientists said to me was, I need more. Well, I can't get any more. We have the largest repository. What do you want to do? And so we decided to create 100 million dino cards. We did that ourselves. So along the way, I thought, you know what, why don't we create a tool that allows anybody to create synthetic data? So now I can fix your data problem, by the way, if you have a data problem, so come see me. Then powered. So many of you have heard of cryptocurrency mining. Mining uses an intense amount of power, intense amount of compute power. We're seeing GPUs skyrocket in terms of cost and their processing power because of cryptocurrency mining. It's really great for us, by the way, because artificial intelligence also needs power. What we need to do is convince these miners to stop wasting their precious resources, electricity and their time on mining currency, and maybe do some knowledge mining for us. So that's a bold thing that we're going to go after as well. Okay. Interestingly enough, there's one other ingredient we need, and that's trust in the AI. Now this is a scary one. How do you trust a machine? Heck, I don't even trust my car sometimes. Like, is it going to start? Is it not going to start? Maybe it'll start. So how do we trust a machine? Now, this is where I think that blockchain comes in. Blockchain, in my mind, is this trust protocol. It allows us to trust. It gives us transparency over what's happening. AI today suffers from the black box syndrome. People are scared of artificial intelligence because they don't know what's actually happening inside the black box. This machine is doing some stuff, but I don't know what's going on, so I'm not going to use it because I'm scared. Blockchain will provide that transparency that we need from artificial intelligence. When you have autonomous agents doing things for you, you need to have an audit trail, an immutable audit trail. Otherwise, the AI could actually modify the audit trail. Wouldn't that be scary? I actually came across a story where someone had talked about building AI that draws art, sells that art on the internet for crypto, and then takes it and powers themselves using the currency it just got, pays for the electricity, builds more art, sells it for crypto, powers itself, and creates this massive organization with no people. So how do we control some of that? How do we control bots that go wild? That's where having some transparency and having a mutable ledger allows us to... Sorry, I'm trying to move to the next slide. I'm having trouble. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's my human clicker over there. Sonu, appreciate that. So how do we keep track of robots? How many of you have heard of Taya or Tay? If you haven't heard of it, it's a really crazy story. So there's no Microsoft folks here, so I'll talk about it. So Microsoft put out this chatbot back in 2017, and they trained this chatbot using AI, and they basically said they want this chatbot to mimic a millennial. And they put her on Twitter, and they said she's going to chat with people on Twitter. Within one day, the chatbot became an asshole and racist. It was terrible. So Microsoft very quickly took it down and put up a sign saying, "We're adjusting Taya," or Tay. No, what do you mean adjusting Tay? And so then the question is, well, maybe it was acting like a millennial. You've seen some of the social posts that we have on Twitter nowadays? So maybe it was acting like a millennial. Not sure. But how do we make sure we don't have rogue agents? This is where blockchain helps. Blockchain is that trust protocol that we need for artificial intelligence. Sorry, someone can give me a hand there. Appreciate it there. So I look at AI and blockchain as the yin and yang. You look at AI very probabilistic. It's always changing, and it's designed to predict the future. Our algorithms are actually forward-looking, which is phenomenal. Now you take blockchain. Blockchain is deterministic. It's a permanent record that's immutable, and immutable is this word that most developers understand, and maybe non-developers do understand it, but you can't change it. Think of it that way, right? And then it records everything that happens. So that's a great tool for artificial intelligence, which is plagued by the black box syndrome. The other thing that blockchain brings to AI, which is really important to know, is the ability to share data. Many times, we're reluctant to provide information because we're just worried about sharing it. Like, how many times have you come across an organization or an individual saying, "I'm not going to share this data"? And it's because they think it's proprietary or they're worried it's going to get out somewhere. Blockchain gives us the ability to control who has access to that data. That's going to help AI, because we're going to be able to feed it more data. Not to the point that it gets to like Tay's level where it starts to tell us we're idiots, but certainly we can feed it more data and do more. So very quickly, I'm going to share with you a use case around blockchain that I was involved in last year. It's a problem called order to cash. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically the cycle between when I place an order to the point I actually have cash in hand. In the oil and gas industry, anybody who's been here and runs an oil field services company understands that that is long. So this company down in the States had a problem with order to cash, and the issue they had, sorry if somebody can help me out, I do apologize, thank you, was their cycle was way too long for them, and it was causing them problems. They had to borrow money to stay afloat because the cycle was so long. Relying on paper tickets, my God, we still have this. Let's change this. Let's create a web page. Just enter stuff in the web, please. Email it to somebody. It's better than having a paper tick that I can't read that's got spaghetti stains on it because you had spaghetti for lunch in the car. And so we need to move away from that. So in this situation, we had 4 players. We had the actual producers who had the fluid itself that needed the haulers, the fluid hauling problem or use case. We had the hauling company itself. So this is a contract hauler. We had the bank in the middle that was going to do it, and we had the tanks. The tanks are a actor in this particular scenario as well. Yeah. Oh, actually, back one. Oh, we're done. I think that's the hook. I did only have like 10 minutes, and I didn't talk too long. Oh, there we go. Actually, there's one more before this. Is there one more? No? Okay. No, that's right. Thank you very much. So this is kind of the lay of the land here. So what we did is very simple. We put IoT sensors on the tanks, and these tanks could now holler and say, hey, I'm nearing full. So someone please take care of it. We don't need to add blockchain at IoT level, by the way. I know that there's folks here that I've had talks with talking about IoT and putting blockchain around the IoT. Not a lot of value in it, to be frank with you, because blockchain does not confirm that the sensor is correct. Right? Once the data gets onto the blockchain, that's all we can confirm is that it's never been changed on the blockchain. I can't confirm that the sensor is correct. The sensor could be way out of whack. Okay? So the tank announces and says, hey, I've got everything emptied. Very simple kind of process. By the way, I also believe IoT should be decentralized. So there's lots of people still building gateways and intermediary boxes for IoTs. If we're going to create a decentralized web, Web 3.0, we need to decentralize IoT as well. So that goes into the IoT cloud. The IoT cloud throws it onto a blockchain, and then it gets separated out. And I won't walk you through the rest of it because I'm running out of time here. But suffice it to say, significant savings. We saw the turnaround time on order to cash drop significantly. Now this is a very simplistic, rudimentary example, but you can see the savings that you can get from just implementing a blockchain solution. Now why blockchain? Why blockchain? Well, for various reasons. One is we leverage smart contracts. So you and I had a contract and an agreement on how we were going to handle this. So I didn't need to shuffle any paper around. We had the bank involved. And if you've got a progressive bank like ATB, then these guys are going to work with you to make this happen. And we actually found one down in the States. We're a smaller bank willing to work with us. And they were able to turn around payments right away. And I think James is going to talk to you about some of the stuff they've been doing with banks and blockchain. So you can really leverage blockchain to remove and reduce some of the cycle time you have in your organization to do this. Now I'm off for sure. Got one more. Okay, next one. Thank you very much. So I just want to talk about the Alberta Blockchain Consortium, something we fired off last year. If you are interested in getting involved in blockchain and learning more, I would encourage you to sign up, attend. One of the meetings we do it once a month. The meeting this month is today. It starts at 4 p.m. Feel free to jump onto the Slack. If you can't get onto Slack, you don't know what it is, what have you, come see me, and I'm more than willing to share with you the information to get connected with the Alberta Blockchain Consortium. The sole purpose of the Alberta Blockchain Consortium is to raise the level of consciousness and awareness around blockchain in the Calgary ecosystem and Alberta ecosystem. So we would love to see everyone there attending, getting involved, sharing their stories, learning more about it. We always have great speakers that are sharing some fantastic stories about what's happening within our ecosystem. So, and that's it for me. So we can go to the final slide. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Nav. That was brilliant.